Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Hey guys, Jim here. Welcome in once again, and it's prototype time. We always enjoy fondling prototypes, don't we? Now, I don't believe there are going to be very many changes between this prototype and the actual production model. So what you're seeing here should be, I would say, 99% true to what the actual product will be. This is a brand new model coming from Mr. Designs, called the Zero. I want you to just kind of take a look at it real quick and realize there's not a lot to this knife. As a matter of fact, it almost doesn't look like a knife. If that was just sitting on your desk and a non-knife person walked into your office, they would look at it and go, what, is that like some kind of large USB stick from the early 2000s? They might not immediately know exactly what that is. And part of that is because of this tongue depressor kind of shape to the overall frame. But the other thing is there's no pivot, there's no exposed hardware. The only thing you have is on the back, you have the adjustable portion of the pivot and the little paperclip pocket clip. And you guys know I'm going to nail it right out of the gate because I hate the paperclip style pocket clips. However, they work really, really, really well. They don't add anything to the beauty of any knife ever made, even though a couple of my absolute favorite knives in my collection now have that style clip. But I digress. Now, I haven't photographed this knife yet as of the time I'm recording this. I'll be doing that when I'm done recording it, so you'll have seen the images before this video actually starts. But I gotta tell you, this is one of the most interesting and different designs that I think I've ever seen. Now, in essence, all it is a button lock flipper. That's it. But you've got the corner flipping tab instead of having a more traditional flipper tab, and a completely straight body on this knife, and not having an exposed pivot here really makes this thing, I don't know, it makes it a lot different because it has such a simplicity to it. And I think that's probably what everybody is going to jump on with this. They're going to see this simplicity and go, wow, I kind of dig that. Honestly, it works really well. I've been very, very impressed by it overall. Let's get into the TLDR before we get into the specs. And before we even get into the TLDR, let's talk about the fact that this is going to be releasing pretty much immediately. When I talked to Mihai about this, he says, basically, I want to launch this around the time that you upload your video. So if you check the description down below, I should hopefully have a link directly to it. If I don't yet, go over to Mr. Designs on Instagram, and I'm very certain he will have made a post with a link that makes you that allows you access to get over into it. And then once I have that link, I will update it. So basically, when this goes live, hopefully the pre-order for these should be going live as well. Okay, all that out of the way, let's get into the TLDW. Too long, didn't watch. For those of you with short attention spans that just want to get the basic information right away, pros and cons, before I get into the specs. Pros, as I mentioned, this is a very sleek, minimalist design. And a lot of people love to buy things that are in a minimalist mindset. If that's you, you've probably already decided for yourself that you've got to have this. The next thing I like about it is the fact that it is a button lock. It's smooth, it's fast, it's almost completely frictionless in opening and closing, and it locks very, very, very solidly. Number 3, it has a patent pending mechanism, which the patent pending on this is essentially the geometry of the button to the lock face and the way that it locks up. So it's a little bit different than has been done before with traditional button locks. That's where the differences lie as far as that goes. Another thing that I like about this is it's pointy, it's stabby, it's slicey, and even the prototype is a pretty sharp knife. Another thing that I love is the finishing. Now, while I was actually hoping and praying to get my hands on the monochromatic version, which would have been like this, where you have the naked titanium and the satin blade, what I got instead was the black handle and the satin blade. And that's just going to mean it's going to take me twice as long to photograph it because my camera doesn't like focusing on something black without blowing out the brights. And then when I focus on that, you can't see the black. But that's the two choices. You're going to have the monochromatic look, or you're going to have the tuxedo look with the black and the silver of the steel, the satin steel. So it's a very, very handsome look. Now, for things that I'm not a fan of, I wish, and as much as I like neutral ergonomics, I do wish it had a little bit more of an organic shape to it, even if it was just a very simple notch for your finger. Doesn't have to be like a deep notch, anything crazy. Just a little bit for your hand to go into, because honestly, you're not going to be doing much of jamming this into anything. But if you were to, your hand's going to go straight up it and slice your hand up. So, I mean, yeah, this is not going to be the Mall Ninja knife. This is not going to be the knife that you're going to go knife fighting with on Saturday nights. Or as Kevin likes to say, my buddy Lefty EDC, your gas station fighting knife. This is not that. This is really going to be an EDC minimalist kind of thing. If you're already carrying a minimalist wallet, you're probably going to be carrying a knife like this and really enjoy it. I love how the blade drops down and completely disappears into the frame. I also love the fact that the flipper tab is a corner flipper tab instead of having a flipper tab sticking up out of the back side of the design. I do like that on this knife. Anyway, bad things. Yeah, it's gonna be all about the pocket clip. Yes, I do have some knives now that I really enjoy with the paperclip style pocket clip. I just feel that for all of the ingenuity that went into creating a knife that was so simplistic, so a lot of time went into it. Yes, a lot of time goes into a lot of designs. A lot of time went into the VBR, creating every little area of this knife and deciding what was going to be what. This is somebody that has a great deal of restraint, that had to pull back and go, nope, maybe it would be cool if it was a bolstered knife with a scale on it, but no, I want to keep it sleek and simple. Maybe if we put a little shape in there, a little contour for the fingers. No, I want it to be straight-bodied and simple. So many things were very clearly thought out on this to make it look so simple that it was actually pretty hard work. So at that point, I really wish the pocket clip was a little bit nicer. That's just me. Maybe I'm crazy. I don't know. Now, while this looks and feels like it's anodized aluminum, it's not. This is actually going to be a titanium frame. And I got to tell you, it feels and sounds like I'm handling a Protec in aluminum. It's crazy. It is super, super lightweight. And I don't really know how they got this PVD finish to be this satiny, but they did a great job. All right, were there any other negatives? No, not really. So let's get into the specs on this. So I'm going to move that right over there. Now, let's go ahead and dispatch with the sticker. Okay, so here are the specs as I have them. And forgive me, you're going to notice I don't have the same cadence in my speech that I typically do, because I don't typically ever sit here and read off a script. But Mihai was nice enough to type up something for me, so I had all the bullet points, because there is no reference for this on the internet yet, because it is still a prototype. Blade length, 3.42 inches. Handle length, 4.41 inches. Cutting edge is 3.42 inches, so the entire blade length is cutting edge. And this really is a nice, almost drop point. I guess we can call it a drop point. It's very useful for pretty much everything. So let's see here. Blade thickness, 89 thou. So very, very slim. I'm just going to kind of tip that up so you can see just how slim that blade profile really is, or that blade thickness really is. Let's see, the weight. This is going to make a lot of people really happy. And this is what I was alluding to earlier by saying it kind of feels and sounds like aluminum. It's only 3.17 ounces. Now realize you've got just under a 3.5-inch blade, okay, and an overall length of, almost 8 inches, 7.83 inches. That is really, really lightweight for this size. You do have bearings around the pivot. It is M390 for the steel, and you're going to be able to get this in either the bead blasted titanium or the black PVD coated. Now that I'm done reading, let's talk about how this knife makes me feel. Now, I can either open it by pressing the lock and just swinging it out like I just did. And when you're not trying to do it in frame of a camera that's this close, it's a lot easier to do. Or I can just simply flip it. And it's got a very positive flipping action. Some people might say, but why isn't there any jimping on the flipper tab? Because it doesn't need any. That corner right there is so easy to just quickly slap. There is no issue whatsoever. So it definitely does not need any jimping. The button is nice and simple. It's a nice domed, polished button. Blade is nicely recessed. All you can feel the steel right there that mates up perfectly with the titanium frame. And then you can feel the jimping, and then the blade disappears down into the body. The jimping, it could be sharper. The OEM on this is Bestech. I know that they can do it a little bit better than this. If I really push down into it, then it grips my thumb, but you really, really got to be pushing down into it. It's going to take you some practice if you've never owned a button lock to get that lock to release and drop without getting the blade bounce. And about 7 times out of 10, you're going to get that blade bounce. But if you nail it just right, it'll close up nice and tight and secure and all that without the blade bounce. This is not unique to this knife. Even when I played with the $1,000 or $900 Brown Knives FSD, which was kind of one of the biggest knife releases of last year in custom knives, did the exact same thing. It was really hard to get the timing down to keep that blade from bouncing. So if you're not used to bearing pivot button locks that have a very, very quick, smooth action, it's going to take a little bit of adjusting. Now, let's give you a little bit of a size comparison here, because if you're wondering, how's this going to stack up to knives I've already got or I'm already interested in? So here it is up against the Brian Brown Knives Jaeger M. So it is just a little bit, I'd say about 1/4 inch longer. But up against the VBR, I'm using 2 knives that thousands of people own. Hoping that makes a little bit more sense to you. And it's just a tick shorter than the VBR. So let's get the VBR out of there. Yes, this is still one of my favorite EDC knives. And for another favorite, it is the Pena Knives Moolah. This was the special collaboration they did with Sons of Liberty Gunworks. And it is about an eighth of an inch longer than the Pena. I know it doesn't look quite like that because of the forced perspective, because my camera is pointed like this, not straight up and down. But trust me, it is that close. Matter of fact, let me just go ahead and butt to butt. So there you have it. I dig this, man. I think it is super, super cool. Now, I like the black, but like I said, my only complaint was, oh my God, I'm going to have to photograph this. But this is a really slick look. And I think, honestly, the black might even disguise its true nature a little bit more. Because, again, to a non-knife person, they're going to see this and go, what is that contraption? Is that some kind of high-tech vape? Which end do I stick in my ass or in my mouth or wherever it is that you put a vape? I'm kidding. It really has that kind of look to it where it's like, whoa. And here's the other thing, too. I could see a lot of people removing the pocket clip to make this even more minimalistic. All you got to do is unscrew that screw, pop this out, and your pocket clip is gone. And this could slide right into your pocket like a slip joint or any other smaller pocket knife that you like to carry. You could put it into a leather slip. And again, it would make it look completely incognito, like nobody would know that you're carrying a knife. As always, Best Tech does a great job on their finish work. The blade looks great. The grind looks great. The finishing is fantastic. I honestly think that Mr. Designs has got one hell of a concept going here. Again, this is not going to appeal to everybody, and I can definitely see that. But for those that like something minimalistic, they're going to eat this up. If you look at a Chris Reeves Sebenza and you think to yourself, I'd prefer to have a plain Jane over a Unique or a CGG, this is probably going to be your knife. If you're the kind of person that likes to carry EDC gear that, like a minimalist wallet instead of carrying a big billfold, and it's very slim and it's got almost nothing to it, yet it does everything you need it to do to get through your everyday life, this is going to be that perfect knife for you. It's something that I feel is a bit special. I don't know what the price is going to be yet. I was not provided that. I'm not even going to guess, because if I guess way too high, then you guys are going to go, wow, why is it so cheap? That doesn't seem right. If I guess way too low, then I've set up your expectation for a lower price point that can't be achieved. So all I'm going to say is I think that it's definitely something that when the price is revealed, if it falls within your common sense budget where you think to yourself, I'm taking a risk here. I'm buying something that's completely different than everything else in my collection. That whole pivotless look, everything else. And I'm not 100% really percent. I'm not really 100% sure that this is going to be the knife for me. But it's so affordable, it's worth taking a shot. I would definitely say go for it. If it ends up being outside of your comfort zone, it's definitely not $500, but let's say it were $500. You might look at this and go, I don't really know if that works for me, and $500 is a bit too much to risk. Then I could see you passing on it. But it's not going to be anywhere near that expensive. Clearly not. I think this is probably going to be in a very affordable price range, especially due to the nature of pre-orders. It makes things a lot easier for not only the customer, but the designer and the manufacturers as well. So if you want something clean, you want something simple, yet wildly different, this might just be the knife for you. Does it completely blow my balls out the back of my asshole? No. There are only a few knives that really give me a super wow vibe, but not everything needs to wow you. Not every car you buy is going to be a Ferrari or a Lamborghini or a Rolls Royce. this is going to be something that I think everybody would certainly enjoy. I wish I could have carried it, but this is his prototype and he wants to keep it pristine. I really think that this is the kind of knife that will totally disappear inside the pocket. Look how thin that is in comparison to the Jaeger M. Look how easy that's going to be to carry. Let's put it up against the VBR like that too. Oh my God. There's a huge difference there. So yeah, I think I think this is going to make a lot of people really happy. And you know what? I just enjoy seeing something different and new, somebody thinking outside of the box. I mean, this certainly isn't the first time somebody's made a minimalistic design in knives, but I think Mr. Designs took it to the nth degree. I mean, if it weren't for the button there, like if this were a liner lock, you'd have nothing here. Nothing. Look, how is this held together? It's this pivot screw and that body screw. That's it. Nothing on this side whatsoever. And I think that by itself makes it special enough. So them's my thoughts. I hope you guys get a chance to see these in person. And if you get one of these, you receive it after your pre-order, please come back to this video and let me know your thoughts. Tell me how you feel about it. I think the lightweightness of it and the super fast action is enough to sell most people, but the unique design really makes it something special. And I'd like to hear if you guys feel the same way. Anyway, I'm out of here for now. Thank you guys for joining me. As always, don't forget the super thanks button down there, the little heart with the $sign in the middle. Or if you want to sign up to my Patreon, patreon.com/Jim Skelton Knives. You could certainly become a patron and a supporter. I would very much appreciate it. I love you guys so much. And I'll see you on the next video.